with over 1 million followers across platforms. He signed to TikTok, been on VH1, was requested by Sam Cooke's resident, first native of Connecticut to sell out the Bushnell Theater. He's an official vendor with Paramount Network. We have no other than John the Violinist here with us today. Take a journey with us as we explore his upbringing, what motivates him, and some life hurdles that he's had to go through throughout his journey. What's going on, everyone? Welcome to the Smooth Podcast, simply motivating others onward through hope. Here to the left of me, I have John the Violinist. What's going on, man?
What's going on, man?
Hey, if you don't know who this guy is, you've been living under a rock, or you don't have a wife or perspective to be wife, because every lady wants him to be their violinist at their weddings, at their baby showers, et cetera, et cetera. First and foremost, man, where and when did your love for becoming a violinist come into play?
That started off when I was 5 years old. My parents had me at a convention at UHart in Connecticut, University of Hartford. They had a program for musicians or people that wanted to be musicians growing up. And they told me to pick an instrument on a display of the table had a display of different instruments. And they're like, you got to pick one. And I chose the violin because it looked cool. My parents said, okay, if you're going to take that, you're going to run with it. And you're not going to be able to stop, even if you want to.
That's fire.
And here we are.
Were there times that you wanted to stop?
Oh, yeah, for sure. For sure. I mean, 5 all the way until high school. You got sports. I played basketball. I did a lot of other things. My friends would be doing activities, and I didn't want to practice. So, of course, I wanted to stop like many times.
And your parents were like, hey, nah, you made that deal with us when you were 5, 6 years old, so you got to stick with it?
Yeah, it wasn't an option, even though neither one of them are really musicians. My mom played the piano a little bit, but they weren't like full musicians. But they said, you know what, we want you to be able to. My uncle's a musician, actually. He was a professor at Howard University, the chairman. Oh, wow. So he kind of implanted that into my parents' mind about getting me into music. But as far as my parents, they weren't even musicians. They're like, nah, but you're going to do this.
That's fire. That's fire. And so what kind of kid were you growing up?
High energy, but yet quiet. But the only 2 things I really enjoyed doing was basketball and playing the violin. But yeah, high energy and quiet kid.
Okay. Did you get good grades?
My grades weren't that great. I was just an average B, C student.
Okay.
I would like to listen to a lot of music. I listen to a lot of music, and I engaged in the arts and things like that. So anything outside of that, I really didn't have an interest, and I had to focus. So that's why.
Who did you listen to growing up?
My parents are very. I was raised in a Christian home, so I did a lot of gospel music. So I was raised in the church, and that's how I was ended up playing by ear. Plus, the way I learned at the program was a Japanese method called Suzuki, which you learn by ear too. So that mixture of things allowed me to be able to play by ear. So
that's fire, and it's crazy how much of that you're currently doing, especially I was just listening to your rendition of the Chris Brown Residuals, and it's damn near you're speaking through a violin. It's absolutely wild, you know what I mean? So that's crazy how that transfers like that. Now, was there any hesitancy continuing the violin as maybe it's not a predominantly male and black instrument to play, right? It's not the drums, it's not the guitar, it's not like these other instruments.
Yeah, and back then, how now all these kids are playing violins. It's like back then we had the recorder, right? Everybody played the recorder, and that's what. But now the violin's cool, but back then it wasn't cool. So it's accepted now. But yeah, I didn't really want to continue it for that reason as well.
Yeah. Now college, was there college aspiration? What was college like?
College, I went to CCSU, Central Connecticut State University, and I actually got into the school because I played the violin. So I got into the music department. And if you get into the music department, you're accepted into the college. So I had to try out for the music department, and I got into the college that way.
Oh, wow. Yeah. So, I mean, you could arguably say since late high school, you knew that violin and playing the violin was going to take you places where maybe other things would.
Believe it or not, I kind of only knew how to play the violin. I capped out at 5'9" for basketball, so that career was done.
It's a wrap. Yeah.
But so it's kind of like this is the only other thing I know how to do, and we'll figure it out later. I ended up changing majors halfway through college into psychology. And my goal was actually
best major ever. You know what I'm saying?
So,
Shout out to some of my
yeah,
psych
I was
majors out there.
actually looking to become a BCBA and looking to do things of that nature. So the violin, I kind of, after midway through college, I put it on the back burner, believe it or not.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah,
Okay. And now after college, tell me about life after college. It's usually the worst times for most people, or the most struggle times for most people, including myself. What was life after college for you?
After college was the real world. I got married, had kids, had the 9 to 5, the American dream, right? And then the stress hit too, and I was like, oh man.
What kind of 9 to 5 did you have?
Man, I worked all different. I did the group homes.
Oh yeah.
And then I ended up, my goal was to work for the state.
That psych major degree, what they don't tell you, it's like after college, you are in a group home. Like that is like it. Like you, it don't matter how much you spent in college. Like I went to BC, spent all this money. My ass was working at $12 an hour group home right after school.
You know what's crazy? I went in there with the suit. I was like, yeah, we about to, you in college, I'm about to get this. You walk around, he's like, nah, this dude is not coming in here in the suit. I was like, oh, this is the real world. Not even, this is just, you might want to take that off, buddy. You don't want to get that ripped and torn. And so, man, it's, real.
That's funny. Deal. That's funny. And so when did, I guess, the love for violin playing re-spark?
It sparked during COVID, but a little bit before COVID. I'd say maybe 2 years, 2017, 2016 started getting back into it. And I actually started putting my videos online. My wife encouraged me to do that, put some videos online.
And what was her psyche like behind that? Well, why was she like, hey, you need to put your stuff online?
Why did she say it? She just thought, she saw other influencers and things like that putting stuff online. And I was like, yo, that is the corniest thing. Looking at a camera and playing an instrument. I would make fun of people. I used to be the dude that made fun of people talking to cameras. I'm like, yo, you're talking to yourself. Like, that's crazy. So then when I did XXX Tentacion, when he passed away, I just did a tribute. I used to enjoy listening to some of his music. I did a tribute video, just, and I didn't pay attention to like algorithm stuff.
What platform did you put it on?
This was actually Instagram was the platform I kind of used, and Facebook.
Sure.
But I put it on Instagram as like a tribute video at midnight, some crazy mess like that. Cause I recorded in my room something and threw it up there. Cause I'm not trying. I just did it because she told me to. Next morning I woke up and I got all these views. I'm like, what is this? You people like this stuff? Like I'm looking at a camera, like took so many takes because I'm like can't even keep a straight face. I'm laughing like I'm like really doing this.
Yeah.
And people, oh, this is great. They're tagging him and say this is awesome. You should keep doing more of these. And that's when it kind of started taking off.
Wow. Yeah. And so, what was the next video after that?
I think I did. I think it was Danny Lay. I did her easy video, and there's something online where she's like, "Oh, tag me," and then I ended up, tagging people. Tagged her, and then she ended up seeing my video, and she ended up contacting me and saying, "Hey, we want to put your video in our YouTube video that we have online." This is when she first started, before she met Chris Brown, before all that. This is when she first started her career, and then that she put the video online and it got some traction that way.
You know what's crazy about this? Someone from the outside would see that you posted one video, right? And it went crazy. And then you post the second video and you get hit up by the artist, right? But what they wouldn't see is you starting this journey arguably since you were 5-6 years old.
You said it exactly right.
And so I just want to kind of like make that a mention out there. Like sometimes what we see on the surface, like it gets way deeper than that.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Because I mean, and even with that, there's still a little bit of luck. There's still a little bit of chance of like, do you think you would have continued the way you did if, say, you got 100 views on each video starting off?
Oh well, so when I say the views went crazy, they were crazy to me at that time.
Sure.
And for the amount of followers that I had, it was a good amount. Now looking back now, it was nothing. But for during that time and the amount of per follower that I had, it was a lot. Yeah, I've been, man, I still this day, views come in, and now, especially when it comes to music, um, some people like certain songs, some people don't like other songs, so some views go up, views go down. It's all a roller coaster ride. So yeah, for sure, I would have kept going.
Yeah.
It becomes working out, like working out. It's like a habit. Once you get into a habit, you kind of just keep going.
Keep doing it. Yeah. What's been the most enjoyable song that you've done? What song do you get the most enjoyment out of? Not the crowd favorite, not the most requested. You yourself, you're like, you know what, this is really my bag.
Alicia Keys, Unthinkable. And that's actually because I knew that song like the back of my hand. And Alicia Keys and Drake, two of my favorite artists, along with John Legend. And when I did that song, that came from the heart. Like I love that song, and I know it well. So when I recorded it, that's the song that I said this is my favorite song to play.
And now we're in a space now where you can obviously consider yourself a professional musician. What was the point, or what has been the closest point for you to say, oh man, I made it?
I still feel like there's always room to grow, right? I'm still trying to get to the next level. Every time I get somewhere and I hit the ceiling, I'm like, it's possible to break through this. Whereas before I was like, my goal is to get to the ceiling, and I know that's it. And then when you kind of get to the ceiling, you're like, wait, hold up, this is not the end. So I think, I keep finding new levels to this, and I don't think I've ever. COVID is when things started changing my life, and that's when I was able to shift from full-time job to full-time musician. So that may have been the biggest, but I'm still growing.
What's been the craziest reach out so far?
Craziest reach out? I think Giannis, when Giannis DM'd me.
Oh wow.
Yeah. That was definitely by far the craziest reach out. And he said him and his wife were huge fans of my music. So shout out Giannis. Yeah. Go Bucks. I'd probably put him. I've had a lot. And then I've had some the owner of the Red Sox, when he requested me to do his he was getting engaged, and I played at his engagement. That was a big one because it was a different demographic too. But man, I've had so many, but those two kind of off the top of my head stand out to me. But there's so many more.
Yeah. Now, when it comes to, like you said, engagements and doing things for weddings, what brings you the most joy? Is it when they ask for certain songs, or when they say, hey, you do your thing, we trust you?
Do your thing, definitely. Because what you see on my page is what I enjoy to do. I'm not being forced by anybody to do that. So when people let me be me, that's when I enjoy it. And I love crowd interaction. So when I see the crowds having a good time, a lot of musicians can say this, it kind of, it makes us more excited. So the crowd interaction is another thing, for sure.
And now, shout out to DP. That's who made this whole thing work.
Yes,
I've known him for quite some time. Always been a cool dude. What made him reach out to you? What made you reach out to him? How did that relationship form?
So he was the first person ever to see my value. Like him and obviously my wife and my family, but outside of my family, he was the first person to see my value. And he saw me at levels that I didn't see myself. So he hit me up to do an event, and I went to his place. I said, "Man, this guy's clean. He's polished. His brand was on point." And when he hit me up, I was like, "For sure, I'd love to work."
Yo, his branding has been like that too. Yeah. I ain't gonna hold you. I ain't gonna hold you, man. His branding, and because I'm saying this to him because I've told you numerous occasions. I was like, "Yo, I just like how you do." Something you just like how they do something. Like, yo, I just like how you do stuff. But go ahead, that's funny.
So and then we ended up working together, and then we, the more and more we worked, the more, the closer it became. Built a friendship, and not just a manager, he's also my close friend. I have a very small circle of people, and I feel like that helps me get work, because when everybody's on they have the same end goal in mind, and it's a small circle, it's very beneficial. So then when we've been working ever since. Shout out my boy DP.
The one cool thing about your line of work too is that as long as your fingers aren't shaky, like you could ride this out till pretty much forever.
It's funny you say that too, right? Because I love basketball and I do pickup games, right? And one day my dad's like, you know, you gotta be careful playing basketball because your fingers are your livelihood. And I was like, I never thought about it like that because I've been in love with basketball. And ever since then, I kind of slowly started cutting back. Actually, yesterday, D, I was actually, I'll tell you about you guys. I was actually doing the punching bag, the thing in the arcade where kids punch.
Yeah.
I punched that and my hand just got like all jammed up. And I was like, man, like I'm really taking too many risks.
Yeah.
It's my right hand, fortunately. But like there's things where I'm like, gotta be careful.
Gotta be careful.
Yeah.
Gotta be careful. Yeah. When was the actual turn for you to say, hey, I don't need to work a regular 9 to 5 anymore?
It kind of happened during COVID by default. The job didn't work out. So, and it was my career was going up though. It was going on the way. It was on the way up. My whole job knew what I was doing. I was starting to call out of work. Hey, I got to go to this gig. I have to go to this event. Actually, Deloitte is the company that made the computers at my job. And they even reached out to me. So I'm like, the people who are making our computers, I have to go to New York City to do an event for them. So like people knew this was like
big time.
Yeah. And then when COVID hit and things didn't work out, I said, obviously I could get another job, but everybody was at home at that time. So I just focused on putting stuff online. And once that started taking off and I started getting calls and things like that, that's when I knew.
Now, earlier you said that you posted that first one at, midnight and didn't care about the algorithm and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Like, because I'm in the creative space and I do content stuff.
Right.
What have you learned in that space? Like, is there a right time to post something? Is there a right day to post something? Like, is it quality over quantity, or is it quantity until you get the quality? Like, what's your overall kind of like specs on the algorithm and just social media in general?
First of all, I used to have that same question: quantity or quality? Which one's more important? And someone once told me, I asked him that same question. I said, "What do you have to have?" He says, "Honestly, you have to have both." I said, "Really?" He's like, "It's not really one or the other. You need to have both." Which is why, for me, when I post, I stay consistent. I try to stay consistent on the same amount of times per week, same days, same time. If I see anything that may adjust, I may adjust a slight time or the post, change it up. But the consistency is important. And then I got a personal videographer to make the cleanliness. And Dante actually showed me, you really want to keep yourself clean cut suits. I was in my room with t-shirts at the beginning. He said clean cuts.
Yeah,
suits,
yeah, that ain't really the violin swag. Yeah,
right. And then
because I would. That's crazy because I would naturally think that you just like dressing like this.
Yeah, I dress like, so I grew up in the church, so dressing with suits, and my parents had me on all type of bow ties 24/7. So for me, dressing up, like we've been in the middle of summer, 80 degrees outside with this stuff on. So that wasn't like hard to dress like that. Granted, I had plenty of suits and things, but there was still a level of confidence I wasn't portraying. And then the consistency, I wasn't doing consistency. I wasn't doing it consistently.
Yeah.
So
yeah. That's very interesting, man. And so you said that you have children. Are you kind of doing the same thing that your parents did? Like, hey, pick an instrument?
Yeah, I let my kids kind of do what they want to do. And I let them be themselves. They are doing instruments, but I'm not forcing them, just like my parents didn't force me. So with the love, as far as what I mean by forcing is being consistent is going to happen, but I'm not going to force them if they want to do something else in their lives. I'm not going to tell them they can't do something else.
I don't think this has happened, but has anyone heard your rendition of something and like maybe their label or something reaches out saying, hey, you didn't get permission from us to do that?
No, the most that ever happened was a video gets taken down or muted or something like that. I haven't ever had anyone contact me and say, because even when I do my covers and put them online, I go through the whole screening process. Like Alicia Keys and all the cover artists get a certain percent every time someone listens to my song, even though it's a smaller percent because the song They don't care about YouTube. Like when it's on social media, they don't really care. It's when it's on like Spotify, Apple Music, those platforms that they care. And when you have a rendition that's live, like with my band that I do on my album, which is Rise, by the way.
Plug it away. You don't got to be
Rise, R-I-S-E.
Plug
Make sure you
it
guys
away.
go check that out. JohnViolinist, Rise on all platforms.
We'll have the link in the bio too. Yeah.
Yeah. So because my band is playing, they don't get a larger percent. If I took the actual instrumental, like I do on my page, they would take a larger percent. But yeah, it has to go through a whole process with all the artists. I have to, any cover artists, you got to do that as well. Even when you perform live, some venues actually take a percentage for the cover artist. Not all, but some do that. Yep.
Interesting. What's been the craziest DM that you've received so far? I know, you said Giannis reached out to you, but who's someone else that potentially like you thought that you wouldn't even be kind of on their scope of people and they reached out to you saying that they liked your stuff?
Craziest DM. Who else, man? This is just a lot. Who else would be pretty crazy? I think one artist who always shows love, Fab actually shows love.
Oh, wow. Shout out to Fab.
Consistently. I could post him 50 million times and he'll repost me and shout me out on there. So I think Fabulous is shout out Fabulous. But I'm trying to think. Yeah, it's been a lot, but yeah, he's probably the one that was pretty crazy.
What's been the craziest song request at a wedding, Sweet 16, or any other event? Like, what's been like just an out of pocket song that maybe was requested?
Back that ass up, definitely. Yeah.
Are you able to do it?
Yeah, it's on my page and it gets a lot of love. I think that song is like the most out of pocket yet loved song everybody enjoys. Yeah, by far.
That's funny. How do you measure success?
I measure success by what you feel. It's like a within. It's not so much what you've accomplished. It's how you feel. Do you feel like a sense of freedom, right? So, like feeling constricted or feeling like you can't express yourself. If you're able to express yourself in the way that you please, I think that's a huge level of success.
Now, you said that DP invited you for that event. Was that your first event that you did?
That was, and it was a consistent thing. It was with a restaurant, 222, in Boston, and it was very consistent. And that was, one of the first events that we did.
Now, if you remember, like your nerves and bubble guts, I'm sure you had. Does that ride out till today, or have those subsided?
Yeah, no, I didn't really have too many nerves even back then.
Really?
Yeah, because I've been doing this since I was 5, so it's kind of like. As far the nerves come, as far as like I said, with the crowd, is the crowd enjoying this? I get to choose the songs, right? It's not like when I was a kid, these are the songs you're playing. You have to learn these and then you have to play them. No, these are the songs I want to learn that I already know, for the most part. In a genre of music that I enjoy. Classical music is very difficult. So R&B and all that is a cakewalk compared to classical music. But yeah, I was nervous in the sense of how the crowd will react.
What's crazy about that is it probably garnishes the least amount of attention. Like if you do a song that everyone knows that's like hip hop, everyone's like, oh, but if you're just playing some classical, it probably sounds like background music to most of us, and we're not really giving you that attention back.
Right, because if I would have did this, in the early, the 1800s, it would have been a different story, right? Everybody would have been like, oh, because it was popular then.
You got that Beethoven, yo.
Right. So because of it's not as popular now amongst the younger crowd, and even the older crowd now, they may not listen to a lot of classical, but some still do. It's just not recognized. It's not something they recognize.
Yeah. How do you feel, and honestly, I don't want a PC answer. How do you honestly feel about tons of violinists coming out on TikTok and social media?
So pros and cons, and I think it's great that the violin is getting a lot of attention, but there are some people that are, aren't really polished, that are throwing stuff online. People that kind of picked up the violin, recently and trying to just go viral. They don't even care about the art at all. They just want to go viral, or they see other. Or I've seen people on the streets even playing and for money, and the backtrack of the is another violinist I know, or and it's not even, they're pretending to play, and people are like, oh, this is great, and giving them money.
Wow. I didn't know that happened. That's crazy.
Yeah, that you have to watch. Other musicians, the violinists could pick up on it, but the regular person may not notice. So
that's crazy.
That it gets kind of repetitive. But like I said, it's still about consistency. I've been doing this since I was 5, but also as far as the online presence since about 2018, 17. So, and I've been doing it consistently since, and it even just to now, I'm starting to really get more traction.
Yeah, that's interesting. With popularity, with success, also comes hate, right?
Yeah.
But sometimes, especially when you're successful, hate can be funny. So like sometimes like a random person will leave a comment on like one of my pictures or one of my videos, and like if it's funny, like it's funny. Like he'll say I look like someone, or like if it's, I'll leave it. I don't delete them or nothing like that. What's been like the funniest hate comment that you ever gotten?
The funniest hate comment? Man, what's crazy? I don't get a lot of hate comments because the algorithm now pushes my videos to people that the worst part is when you're critiqued by your peers that other play instruments. Those are the ones when it's like, oh, this is not right, the technicality of it, and this, that, and the third. When it's the regular person, they love the art. They actually, no, there is one guy. I'm not going to say his name.
Yeah, you don't gotta say his name.
But a buddy of mine, but he is a musician. We went to college together. We used to jam out together and all that. And this is funny. Just y'all that don't think I may get a lot of comments, but I read my comments. So sometimes I think they think that he doesn't see it. Like I see it. So he wrote something along the lines of, "This is garbage. This is terrible music, and this, that, and the third." Mind you, we used to jam together.
Yeah.
So I DM'd and I followed him. First of all, and
because he wasn't even following you, dog. Yeah.
So I followed him. He was following me, but I was following him. So I followed him and messaged him. And I said, "Hey, man, I hope all is well. Hopefully everything is going well with you. I don't know what's going on in your life, but..." And he like froze. He's like, "Hey, man, everything's going good." He's like, "I'm sorry, man. I just got real frustrated." And it's one of those things. It's like he didn't think I would see his comment, and he probably thought, some people think, "Oh, he has so many followers. He's probably like an a-hole and doesn't, and cocky." And like, bro, I went to college with you. Like, we jammed out, but we're good now. We talked about it, and he's actually still performing. So shout out my boy. Yeah, that was the only one that recently that I can remember that was kind of strange.
Yeah. Would you rather be loved or respected?
Loved or respected? That's interesting. Would be loved or respected? I guess respected. You don't need to. I just want, like, for people that listen to my music, just respect the craft. You don't have to love it. Everybody's different. Their definition of love is different, but respect is kind of universal. So I would say respect.
I know you might have more, or you might not, because you stated before that you have a small circle. But name 2 best friends that you have.
Well, my wife is one of my best friends. So my wife Nakia, and another best friend. Yeah, like I said, I literally have 5 people that I literally talk to. DP is one of them. And it's funny, we work together too, although we're friends. So I can name 5. I got DP. I got shout out DP. I got my boy C Staggs on the sax. He's a close friend of mine. I got my boy Isaac, my videographer, also a close friend of mine. My wife Nakia.
All right, so let's just say if I go up to Isaac and I go up to your wife and I say, "What is the number one biggest thing that John needs to work on?" What would each one of them tell me?
Oh, yeah, you are a therapist. You definitely are a therapist. Man, I need to get more comfortable. I don't know. So, my wife would say continue to be great, but don't be afraid to challenge situations, I think is what she would say. My friend Isaac would probably say, he's a go-getter. So he'd just say, be more consistent, go harder, keep working, don't stop. He takes everything to the next level. Let's see. And DP, I think DP would probably say, keep my, no, maybe not that. DP, I don't know. He's right here. What would you say, D? Keep my foot on the gas. Yeah.
Foot on the gas. All right. If let's say like you could, obviously you do violin all over the place, but like let's say if you could pick up your business and you pick up your friend group and you could place them in any city in America and live there, what city would you pick and why?
So say it one more time. Any of my friends, where would I place them?
Like your whole ecosystem moves with you. So like your business and your friends and all that, they move with you. So that's not like a reason not to go somewhere, right? If you could pick any city in America, what city would you pick and why to live at?
It'd be between probably either Atlanta or somewhere in California. To be honest with you, I love where I'm at right now though, because some of those places are overpopulated, which has helped my career grow to where it's grown right now.
Explain that.
Everybody career-wise, even a lot of violinists, they start making buzz in their whole time and they move to LA, right? Which leaves very few talented musicians in the area because everybody wants to go to LA to make it, because that dream of like, oh, I got to go to LA. People forget that the internet is global. You don't need to get seen in LA to move to LA. Now, back in the day, you did. You needed to move to LA because the internet wasn't the internet. So actually where I am now in the Northeast, it's fast paced here. And like I said, a lot of people move out to like the LAs and Atlantas, which I do enjoy the culture. But as far as like being here in like the New England area, in my state now with my family, actually, I would stay here. So I'm going to change my answer and say stay in New England.
Stay in New England. All right. Who the top 5 current artists that you listen to?
Top five. I'll have to go with, you're talking about in any genre?
Any genre.
I listen to let's see, let's do classical. So I enjoy Vivaldi. He's my favorite classical artist. He was ahead of his time. As far as, and then let's go into hip hop. I'm a huge Drake fan, I always will be. And let's go into R&B. I said this before, Alicia Keys and John Legend. And I think as far as the top ones, those are big artists. I'm trying to think. Yeah, I'll just say those four for now.
Those 4? Okay.
Yeah.
What's your most regretful purchase?
Most regretful purchase? What purchase do I regret? That's a good question. I have a lot of tattoos. Not that I regret them, but like they cost a lot of money. And as I get older, I'm like, man, I could have used that money for something else. I probably have thousands and thousands of dollars, which people don't know about me because I'm always wearing suits. I am completely covered. D knows I'm completely covered. My whole chest, my arm, 2 sleeves, legs. I love my tattoos. But yeah, as far as money wise, it'd be nice if people cash that money back. Get that money back. But yeah.
Gotcha. What do you believe to be true that most people don't?
I'm a strong believer in, not that most people don't, because the internet is a lie, but based on the internet, a lot of people don't believe in like marriage and love, and like people don't think that stuff still exists. And a lot of people say, oh, it's just something that doesn't happen. But I'm telling you right now, I make a living off of people getting married and love, and people come to my shows with friends that they love or their relationships.
That's big.
So I would say that's a huge, I believe in marriage. I believe in love. And yeah, I would definitely say that. I want to be remembered for how I made people feel, and the impact that I've made. But other than just a violinist, as a father, a husband, and just a human being who just enjoys everything that he's been blessed with and everything that he's been able to bless others with. I'd say that, yeah.
Now, I was looking your shows up. You're going to Boston very, very soon. I think you have 2 shows. One was already sold out, and the other one's open. Do you want to just talk about the Boston show?
Yeah, so City Winery, Boston. I will be there this Saturday. The 7:30 show is sold out, but there are about 50 tickets left for the 3 p.m. matinee show. So if you're interested in some live music, I definitely suggest coming out. Bring your kids, bring your loved ones, bring your grandparents. That's the thing. Everybody can enjoy this. It's no age limit. So, yeah.
Very fire, very fire. Last but not least, any kind of like last words or anything that you want the viewership to know about you?
If you have a dream and you're afraid to start it, you're with the other 90% of people. So don't be the 90%. If you want to make a difference, be that 10%.
All right. John, man, thank you for coming on the show.
Awesome, man. Thank you for having me. Yes, sir.
Y'all stay smooth out there.